Folks, hello, I hope you're doing well. It's nearly 10 o'clock on the 11th of the 4th, 2020. Well, this video is one that I'm going to be pausing a few times, I think, because I need to pray about this a lot more. I'm just seeing somebody quote something. A Catholic was asked, what does he think hell was like? And he said, hell was like living within hell is like living without God's love. Well, that's interesting because I'm not sure what I'd say about that. Because to most people, would they, if you would ask people, do you feel that you experience God's love in your life, they would say no. Yeah. I mean, even most Christians, if you were to ask them to explain how they experience it, they wouldn't be able to. I think they would say they do, but I think they'd say that only because of the fact they're trying to appear to be a good Christian. They wouldn't be able to explain how. So I'm not sure if it is that. However, I know I experienced something years ago. It was an amazing experience. I was single. This was going back, probably 20 years ago now, if not more. Yeah, it was before 2000. So it was about 23 years ago, I think, something like that. So anyway, it was late at night. I was asleep. I was having a dream, and it was quite a lustful dream, I do believe. There was things going on in that dream that would make many people blush. I woke up and I was like, I wanted to get back to sleep to see where this dream's going. And that was the reality. I was thinking, I want to go back to sleep to see where this dream's going to go. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the presence of God was just lifted from my life. And I experienced absolute darkness. And yeah, that was scary. Yeah, that was a scary thing. I didn't have a mobile phone at the time because mobile phones weren't incredibly popular at the time. So I went out, took a bit of change, phoned a friend, and asked that person to pray for me. That person was Leonard Gill. And this would have been late at night. I would have woken him up to do so. And he was happy to pray for me. I understood the situation. Yeah. Wasn't judgmental or anything like that. Just quickly prayed for me. Before he ended the prayer, that's it. Darkness gone. But it was just that moment in choosing sin or choosing lust. God said, okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what not having me in your life would be like. And so, to a sense, I can understand that. But I think that's going from a Christian's point of view. But I think hell is a heck of a lot worse than that. A heck of a lot. I mean, that was scary, but it wasn't horrific. And it didn't happen every day. Now, my understanding of hell is that you'll be tortured to the point of death every day, and just as you die, you wake up, and a new day starts. That torture will start all over again. That is what I think hell will be like. Now, what torture would depend upon the person. If you're guilty of torturing people, your torture will probably be similar torture to what you carry out on others. Yeah, if you're guilty of rape, then I imagine it'd be a demon. Yeah. Raping you in the most horrendous way. It's going to be terrible for the people there. That's the truth of the matter. It's going to be absolutely horrific for the people there. I know there's lots of videos out there. People saying they saw Elvis, John Lennon, and they saw this person and that person in hell. Don't believe a word of it. Yeah, don't believe a word of it. That's a lot of that is just for attention. I mean, the thing of it is, one or two of those may be true. Maybe true. Problem is, which ones I wouldn't venture to guess. I mean, you have people who apparently are taken and shown hell. Or shown hell to a certain degree, and then brought back. But you also have other people that are shown heaven and then brought back. And the problem is, you listen to all these accounts, they don't all tie in. And some do, but too closely to the point where they're copying what someone else has said. In the end, it's really difficult. I think with heaven, it is a case where you will be greeted by those that you love and that have gone before you. I know for me, it'll be a case that if my doggies pass before I do, I want them to greet me. As well as my nan and Leonard and the girl. Lovely man. I know he's there. I know my nan's there. And my doggies will go there. Certainly if I go there, I want my doggies to go there. Because that to me is heaven. Being surrounded by these. And I've said to God that the pups that have come from here, if their owners aren't going to heaven, then the pups should please have them with me. So that they don't have to cease to exist completely. That their spirit can come up into heaven. And they can come back with me and mum and dad here. So there'll be quite a few, I think. I imagine there'll be 40 or 50 Border Collie puppies with me in heaven. I mean, I'd rather there's none. I'd rather that the people that took the pups will all get to heaven themselves. But chances of that happening is very, very slim. It's like, I looked at the figures earlier of the Rona, and I don't know what it is in the world stage right now are 107,000. Just over, we're near 107,645 deaths so far. I can imagine of that total, the majority of those people have gone to hell. Looking at the evidence of the world, sadly, very, very sadly, looking at the evidence of the world, in most parts of the world there weren't people queuing around churches trying to get in. There was a massive harvest. The seeds had been sown, but the harvest hadn't actually been done. And so, hopefully, most of those people were wise enough to repent before they died. Knowing that they were faced with a situation where this virus can take lives. Hopefully, most of them repented before they died. I don't think it's likely. But I hope that a good number of them did. But it certainly is a case that with this virus situation, there's a lot of people who are now finding out with absolute certainty whether heaven and hell actually exist. And it's incredibly tough for those who find out that hell is real by being there. You'd rather find out hell is real by being in heaven and looking down upon it. But yeah. So just to explain another point about hell is that hell is not below us. We know, biblically speaking, that the Lord has pulled up to the third heaven. What we can see when we look up into the sky is the first heaven. Hell is above, and heaven is above that. So all that we can see, all that scientists can see with their big thermometers, is the first heaven. All those stars, that's all part of the first heaven. Above that is hell, above that is heaven. Biblically speaking, it's not below us. Again, can I prove this? No. I can prove that's what the Bible says. What I can't prove is that that is actually true, because nobody's been able to look beyond our heavens. Beyond our galaxy. No one's been able to look beyond that to another heaven beyond that. I'll tell you, if they did, and hell really is beyond this one, then they would be horrified at what they saw. I'm pretty sure they would shut down that camera that was looking at that pretty quickly. I mean, the way I see life is quite simple. Is that if life is a case where you live and then you die and that's it, then okay. But if there is a heaven or a hell, then you've got to try and make sure you're in heaven. Even if there's no heaven or hell, try and make sure you're in heaven, because if the worst that happens is that when you die, that's it, nothing more. Doesn't matter. Really? So you didn't get drunk every night, who cares? So you didn't go and sleep with anyone you could possibly sleep with, who cares? If there is a heaven or hell, though, you don't want to be banking on nothing happening when you die. Because if you end up going to hell, God, you're going to wish so much that nothing happened after you were dead. As I say, there's loads of videos. I wouldn't bother watching any. So it's always going to be a case where there'll be people trying to come up with theories as to what hell would be like, and trying to release a massive video talking about it, interviewing people that have supposedly been there, because they want to make money. If they're doing a TV program, they want people to watch. So the more sensational the title, the more likely is people will actually click onto your channel. And I know that from I support a football team and Manchester United, and there's a chap called, or does a channel called United Stand, who I would swear, is not a Man United fan. He uses a fake name called Mark Goldbridge, and that's not his name. He's actually admitted to people that that's not his name, that's the name he created. Apparently because of the job he was at the time, he couldn't use his real name. But now he doesn't do that job. He only does this job as a YouTuber. and but all the time he's putting videos up with incredible titles, just trying to get people to click, because United transfer spree, and you go into it and there's nothing at all. Yeah, and every single day, now we've got this coronavirus. He's been doing occasionally 3 or 4 videos a day. He's spoken about a player called Jordan Sancho about 25 to 30 times already since January in videos, mainly saying that Sancho is coming to United. United transfer Sancho. Trying to get people to click. It's clickbait, and that's why people do these videos on hell and do these videos on the sensational ideas of hell. That you'll be able to see all these different people there, Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson and Mother Teresa or whatever. And it's like, well, folks, if you go to hell, you're not going to be too bothered or impressed at seeing a celebrity there. It really is not going to make you think, oh, so I finally get to meet Elvis Presley. Hello, Elvis, how you doing? You going to sing some songs? You're going to be far too bothered by the torture that is happening to you, by the fact that you're going to be tortured every single day for eternity. It will never bloody end. Although maybe it will. Well, because we see that the Bible talks about a new heaven and a new earth, and then God will destroy this heaven, this earth. That may mean that God destroys hell as well. I don't know. No idea. I mean, the thing of it is, there's a lot of stuff that completely blows my mind that makes no sense at all about any of it. It really doesn't, because when you start thinking about that, what comes next, it doesn't make sense. That's the bit that doesn't make sense to me. And this is where I struggle. It's a bit that the Bible doesn't talk about. That is the area to me that I struggle, because that's where it's not so clear what happens then, because the earth has to be, the earth is destroyed, heavens are destroyed, start again. So what happens? There's a whole thing then starts again. Or do we all just go and live in heaven? And we just have an existence in heaven for eternity? I can't see it. I don't see the point of it. I really don't, because heaven, eternity is a flipping long time. And the problem is, we have an understanding of life as we live. We couldn't imagine in any way, shape or form for that to last for eternity. We wouldn't want it to last for eternity. Like you see in some TV programs and movies that you have a character who can live forever, who can't die. And that character is always miserable, because what they want is to die. They've lived, they've been married, they've buried wives, they've buried children, they've buried grandchildren. It's a terrible existence, apparently, according to those stories. So it's like, well, we don't know. That's the thing. We don't. I don't know. That's the thing, folks, isn't it? Is that there's an awful lot we don't know, and part of the reason why I think we don't know that stuff is because there's enough to deal with right now. There is, and that's why I will never try and really surmise and go there, because you just can't. What comes next, I can't get anywhere near imagining. And if I even tried to, I'd probably be way off. I'm certainly not going to do videos on that, because again, that's not looking at things from a Christian point of view. That's looking at things from a fantasy point of view, or a fantasist point of view. And so, as I say, the point of it is if after life there's nothing, then okay. But if that's the case, I don't really see why, as I said, I don't see why most people should continue with living. It'd be simpler just to kill yourself. Certainly, if you're with someone who's supposed to be the person who you bond with and you click with, and it's like, wow, this person is incredible. When that person dies, why would you want to live a moment longer? Every second you're alive without them is going to hurt. But if there is a heaven and there is a hell, then of course that changes everything. Then, the whole purpose of life, the whole purpose of living changes. The whole way to live, the whole conversation around that changes. Because if there's nothing after life, then there really are no eternal consequences to the way you live. None at all. Which means you can do whatever you like. Pretty much, if you can get away with it. However, if there are heaven and hell, if both places are real, then there are consequences to the way you choose to live. And so you shouldn't just try and get away with things and do whatever you want, because there are consequences to that. And the consequences are really, really bad or really, really good, depending upon what you're going for. But I would imagine that heaven would be as positive. How would I put this? If hell is 1,000 times a 1,000 times a million times worse than your worst nightmare, then heaven would be the same number times your best dream. So, I imagine that would be probably the situation. That it's going to be equal. That one would be horrendous, and one would be equally in the opposite direction of fantastic. I could be wrong. But in some way, I don't think I am. I think that's going to be the case. It doesn't make sense for hell to be so terrible. Then heaven would have to be so fantastic. Because if heaven was just okay, then it's like, right, okay, that doesn't really, come on, Lord, what's going on here? It's like the Lord said, He's going to make a place for us in heaven. Now, it took Him, although this isn't quite the case, depends on how you choose to look at it, 7 days to create the heavens and the earth and mankind and animals and trees and etc. And yet it's taken 2,000 years to make a place for us in heaven. So yeah, let's say with regards to the 7 days, that's yeah. Parts of the Bible say, well, a day is like 1,000 years to God. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't try and get bogged down in those numbers because, again, I've not really spent a lot of time praying about it. I've not really spent a lot of time in it, so I've not been guided by the Holy Spirit on that one. So I don't go near it really. I don't think it's a wise thing to try and touch unless you've got wisdom on that subject, and I don't. So I tend to try and leave it be, only to joke on it, like I just said. Um, but that's an interesting point, then. 2,000 years to repair a place. It should be fantastic, then, shouldn't it, really? It should be far, 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 far greater than we could imagine the most fantastic thing being. And so, yeah, life doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form if once it's over, that's it. It doesn't make sense. If that's the case, why do we allow 1% of the people to own everything? Why don't we just go and take it all back? Yeah. If when you die, that's it, what's the point of being under their boot? But as I say, that doesn't make sense. Well, you take care, God bless, and I will speak to you later. I haven't paused it. I thought I was going to pause it quite a few times, but I haven't. I might have to do a part 2 or part 3 as God gives me more on this subject. We'll see. I better take the dogs out for a walk in a second, though, so you take care. God bless. Bye bye.